Alright guys, so yesterday I put out a survey asking whether or not you wanted to build muscle or lose fat. 67% of you voted for learning how to build muscle. So today I'm going to do something I've never done before, but I'm going to talk about hypertrophy, which is just the increase in muscle size as a response to strength training. So if you hear me say hypertrophy or hypertrophic or something like that, I'm just talking about building muscle. I'm going to share with you 7 different training techniques you can use to implement into your program to help you build a little bit more muscle, explain what they are, how they work, how to do them. And then I'm going to quell one myth, and you could still use it if you want to, if you like it, if you feel like it helps, if you've done it in the past, go for it. I'm just going to share with you what the science says about it, and then I'm going to give you at the end the perfect rep range, number of sets you should be doing, and rest time. And yes, there's a RAF right beside me because I've got a 3-year-old daughter and she likes her RAF, so just ignore him. So basically, we're going to define hypertrophy first. Hypertrophy is the increase in cross-sectional size of muscle tissue as a result of strength training. Yes, I have notes right here beside me so that I'll make sure I hit everything I wanted to talk about. Basically, all that means is that you're strength training, which means you're using resistance via weights, machines, whatever it is, and this is your body's adaptation to that by increasing the size of your muscle fibers. 7 methods of training to help you maximize your body's hypertrophic response. Number 1, eccentrics. What this means is you've probably heard of tempo training or time under tension. All this means is that you're going to focus on going down really slow on the negative portion of every rep in every set that you do. In other words, you might count to 5 seconds on the way down and then explode on the way up. The reason you do this is because you can handle a lot more on the eccentric portion, which means lowering the weight, than you can on the concentric portion, which means raising the weight. So in order to burn out the complete range of motion on the way up and on the way down, you need to be exploding up, because that one's harder for your body to do, and then controlling the weight down nice and slow. That way you burn out the most fibers all the way up and all the way down. Another method is called negatives. What this means is that you're going to load the bar down or the machine down or whatever it is with more weight than what you're able to do. So if you bench 250 pounds, you're going to put 275 on. You need a spotter for this. You're going to take the weight off. You're going to lower it down really slow, as slow as you can, 3 to 5 seconds, 6 seconds, whatever it is. And at the bottom, then your partner is going to grab the weight and lift it back to the top for you. You're going to do this maybe 5-6 times. That's probably all you're going to be able to do. But you want to do more than what you can lift. That's the key here. This is because, like I said, you are stronger in the eccentric portion of a lift than you are in the concentric portion of a lift. So this is getting your body used to holding that heavier weight, and it's destroying muscle fibers. It's tearing them, it's causing damage, which later on your body's going to repair as long as your diet's in check, and that's how you grow muscle. Next method I want to talk about is going beyond failure. What this means is you want to pick a weight that you can lift to failure around 6 or 8 reps, and then I want you to perform 3 to 5 negatives after that, so you're going to need a spotter again. So let's say you can bench 225 for 6 reps before you hit failure. So you're going to hit failure at 6 reps, and then you're going to go down really slow to your chest. You can't lift it anymore, so your partner's going to grab the weight, lift it for you. You're going to go down again. You're going to do that 3 to 5 times. So you're going beyond failure. You're hitting failure, and then you're going to burn out on the negative portion as well. Next one, rest pause sets. A lot of you probably heard of this before. What this means is you're going to take your set to whatever your prescribed reps are, or I recommend to failure, somewhere between 10 and 12 reps. Then you're going to put the weight down, rest 15 to 30 seconds, and then you're going to go again to failure. This time you're not going to get near as many reps because you're not lowering the weight any. Some people even add a little bit of weight. I don't really recommend that. I just keep it the same. So let's say that you're doing bench press. You do 225. You hit failure at 8 reps. You rack the weight, rest 15 to 30 seconds. Take the weight off. This time you're probably going to hit 3 reps. Rack the weight, rest 15, 30 seconds. Take it off. You might only hit 1 or 2, maybe 3 again. Do it 2 times. Do it 3 times. Do it 4 times. Do it how many ever times you feel comfortable. I would save it for the very last set of an exercise, and rest pause maybe just once or twice. Pre-exhaustion training. This is where I said I was going to kind of quell a little myth that a lot of people have heard about. You've probably heard of Arnold talking about doing leg extensions before he squats. Burn out the muscle doing leg extensions. That way when you squat, all the big muscles are burnt out, and then you get to target those deep down muscle fibers. And it sounds really good in theory. There were studies done in 2003 and 2007 using electromyography, which is just scanning the muscle fibers to see them heat up and everything, see what muscle fibers are activated. Both of these studies showed that when muscles were trained in a pre-exhausted phase or a pre-exhausted state, that you actually stimulate less muscle fibers in the primary movers. So in a squat or a leg press, this be your quads, and you actually stimulate muscle fibers all around that instead. So if you're actually looking to use an exercise to use the muscle that you're trying to stimulate, pre-exhaustion training is not scientifically sound. Study was done on this in bench press. That was the 2007 study. What it showed was that they had people do chest flies before they did bench press, and when they did the bench press, the only muscle that increased stimulation versus people who did bench press first was the triceps, and that's because the chest muscles were already too exhausted to keep lifting. So they were able to lift less weight for less reps, and they stimulated their triceps more than their pecs during the bench press. So if you like pre-exhaustion training, if you've done it before, good for you. Keep doing it. If it works for you, keep doing it. I'm just telling you what the science says. Next technique, post-exhaustive training. If you've ever heard of power building or power bodybuilding, this is basically what that's based off of. What it means is you do your big compound moves first, your bench, your squat, your deadlift, stuff like that. And then you do your auxiliary movements after that to kind of get a pump. So you train for strength with your big moves, and then you train for a pump to pump blood to the muscles in your smaller moves. A study in 2012 on this method of training showed that exercises should be sequenced in order of neuromuscular demand to make your program most effective. What that means is whichever exercise demands the most neuromuscular activity, which is usually your big compound moves, should be first in order, and whatever exercises require the least neuromuscular activity or communication should be last. You should order down in order of neuromuscular demand. So in other words, do your squat, your bench, your deadlift, do all of your big compound moves first, work your way down to your isolation movements and get that pumping that blood up is also going to help your body start to recover because it pushes that blood in. The last method of training I want to talk about is called GVT, or German volume training. Basically what this is you're doing 10 sets of 10 of whatever exercise you're doing, taking a 1 to 3 minute rest in between. Some people do 2 or 3 exercises in a row, 10 reps of each with maybe 15-20 seconds rest in between each exercise, and then take a 3-minute rest at the end. So they do it in like a small circuit style. Some people do it with just one exercise, so they might only do GVT on bench press, and then everything else they do for chest that day may be just regular 3 to 5 sets of whatever reps they're doing or whatever. So they'll do 10 reps on bench, rest 60 seconds, do 10 reps on bench, rest 60 seconds. Like I said, keep that rest time 1 to 3 minutes. So at the end, towards the end, you can either lower the weight if you want to keep that strict 60-second rest time, or you might just increase, if you want to keep the same weight on there for your last few sets, just increase your rest time up to 2 or 3 minutes as you need to. Now, a little bit about reps, rest time, and sets. Science says hypertrophy training should be done in the 6 to 12 rep range, with 10 being the sweet spot. So that doesn't mean always do sets of 10. That doesn't mean always do sets of 12, always sets of 6. A lot of my programs, you might have 6 sets of something, and you might be doing 20 reps, 15 reps, and then 4 sets of 10, or 20, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6. The reason for this is because I want you to add weight as you go, and I want that 20 and that 15 to get you warmed up in case you skimped out on the warm-up that I prescribed before the workout. It's not pre-exhausting your muscles, but it is getting a little bit of blood flowing. It's getting your hips loosened up if it's squats. It's getting your shoulders and elbows loosened up if it's bench press. It's just getting you going, getting you warmed up, getting you ready to put on that heavier weight. you should be taking 30 to 90-second rests in between most exercises. I try to stick 60 to 90, but sometimes I'll drop it down to 30, 45 seconds of rest if I'm doing something that is like an isolation move where you only use one side of your body. So if you're doing single leg curls, then you would do 12 reps with your right leg, then 12 reps with your left leg. I might only prescribe a 30-second rest, reason being your right leg's been resting the whole time that your left leg was going, so you don't really need that full minute because it's probably already gotten 30 or 45 seconds anyways, waiting on your left leg to go. You should be doing somewhere between 3 and 8 sets of everything. Like I said, sometimes you might do 10 sets if you're doing German volume training, 10 sets of 10. You might want to do 3 sets of some of your isolation moves. Most of your big compound moves, you want to stay between 5, 6, maybe even 8 sets of it. Just depends on how froggy you're feeling that day, what stage of your program you're in, what your goal is, how long you've been training, things like that. So take this information, do what you want to with it, ignore it, use it, whatever you want to do, but here it is, now you know, and I hope it helps at least one person.